Okay, ready to roll? I just want to say good morning to everybody. For those of you I haven't met, my name's Mike Watt. I'm Executive Vice President here at the Walker Environmental Group. And I'd like to welcome you to our Resource Recovery Campus, and thank you for coming. In respect and honour of the historic, important and solemn treaty relationship between Canada and Indigenous nations, I'd like to acknowledge and thank the Anishinaabe, Ojibwe, Chippewa and Haudenosaunee peoples who have so generously welcomed into their traditional territory. I'm pleased to be joined by the Ontario Government as we mark Ontario's next big step in its efforts to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. Today, Ontario, in partnership with the Green Ontario Fund, the Ontario Centre of Excellence, and all of us here at Walker Environmental are excited to announce a major climate change action plan initiatives that will help the province meet its greenhouse gas emissions reduction targets while creating green jobs, innovation and investment in Ontario. To help start things off, I'd like to welcome our own St. Catharines MPP, the Honourable Jim Bradley. Jim has been representing St. Catharines and the people and businesses in Niagara at the Ontario Legislature since 1977. I think you're now the longest served minister, I guess. He is currently the Chair of the Cabinet and Deputy Government House Leader. As a former Minister of the Environment, Jim was an innovative leader on many environmental issues and was key to bringing the Blue Box programme to millions of Ontarians. And on the tour, I didn't have to give the tour because Jim basically told the Minister of the Environment about all the activities here at Walker, so he's very familiar with our operations. So, ladies and gentlemen, Honourable Jim Bradley.
Thank you very much, Mike, for that extremely kind introduction today. I'm delighted to be here, as I have on a number of occasions in this property and around this property over the years, for a special announcement today, which involves companies that are very well known internationally even, and of course, speaking parochially, we're very proud of them here in St. Catharines and Thorold and the whole Niagara region. I'm pleased as well to be here with two different ministers who are playing a role in today's announcement, two individuals for whom I have a good deal of respect. Those of you in the room will know I had the opportunity to be the Minister of the Environment the first occasion from 1985 to 1990 for 5 years, 3 months, 4 days and 2 hours. Before we had to leave office for health reasons, the people became sick of us on that occasion. So. But I enjoyed that opportunity and on that particular time period, and also later when I became the Minister of the Environment again, appointed by Premier McGuinty. And again, the changes I'd seen, Mike, on this particular property over the years are remarkable, just as the changes I've seen at the General Motors plant in St. Catharines have been remarkable as well, and both of these industries have contributed immensely to the economic prosperity here in our part of Niagara region, and also contributed nationally and provincially to our economy. And both of these companies as well, and I don't want to steal anything from those who will be speaking, but both of these companies I know from personal experience have transformed themselves over the years to meet the needs of competitive business internationally. And we're very proud of them for doing that, and we're very grateful to them for having a presence here in the Niagara region. I have the distinct pleasure of introducing both of my colleagues. So first, I guess, Reza, I'm going to be introducing you first. He's our resident scientist. We rely upon him on many occasions for the scientific knowledge that is required around the cabinet table and in the Ontario Legislature, and he's highly respected. He was first elected in 2007 as I'm sorry, I'm smiling about that because 77, 87, 97, 2007. But he was, and we were very pleased to be able to attract somebody who could be doing 1,000 other things with his curriculum vitae. He could be doing so much, but chose to go into public service, and I think we're very delighted to be able to attract him to that. He is re-elected subsequently in 2 elections, Prior to that, he was the Minister of Research and Innovation, as well as the Minister of Training, Colleges and Universities. And I can say in that regard, he's visited both Niagara College and Brock University and was very impressed with what he saw in both of those buildings. He served as Parliamentary Assistant to the Minister of Energy, the Minister of Training, Colleges and Universities, and the Minister of Research and Innovation. So he started off as a member of the legislature, got a good grounding, and established himself with prominence in the ministries that he's had. So prior to entering politics, Reza held a 17-year career at the Radiation Safety Institute of Canada, where he was the Vice President and Chief Scientist. He also worked in the electrical industry as an executive and in academia as a professor and an administrator. For his contribution to the understanding of nuclear materials, radiation, and health physics, Moridi has received the Education and Communication Award from the Canadian Nuclear Society, and the U.S. Health Physics Society designated him as a Fellow of the Society. He was elected as a Fellow of the UK Institute of Physics and admitted as a Fellow of the UK Institution of Engineering and Technology. For his extensive community and humanitarian work, Moridi has received numerous awards and recognition. Now, he told me I can't go on and on because I could tell you I could. The accolades are great from international sources, but Reza insisted that I not read the entire resume today, so my pleasure to introduce a very good friend of mine, a colleague for whom I have a good deal of respect, a person who served our province and our country very well, Reza Moridi.
Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you very much, Jim, for that very kind introduction. It's a great pleasure to be here this morning, and thank you very much for this great tour of the facility. It's such a wonderful facility. I think we are the only people from the Greater Toronto area, or maybe a little more than us here, know about the existence of such a wonderful facility in our province of Ontario, where we really extract resources. This is a resource place, nothing more than that. And I'm so glad that I had the opportunity to see firsthand wonderful things happening here in this place. And it's just kind of eye-opening that what we are doing in the province of Ontario. It's also a great pleasure for me to be introduced by Jim Bradley. I mean, Jim is not only the longest-serving MPP in the province of Ontario, but he is the longest-serving parliamentarian in our wonderful country, Canada. So we are so grateful, Jim, what we are doing. Very, very exceptional gentleman, and his resume is much, much longer than mine. So if I had one day to have the honor of introducing him, of course, that will be a very tough task. And indeed, it's a great pleasure to join another colleague, Minister Chris Ballard, who is Minister of the Environment, and also my neighboring MPP in York Region. It's a great pleasure to be with them, and indeed a great pleasure to be with all of you here. We are here, ladies and gentlemen, to make an announcement with regard to first recipients of the TargetGHG program funding and to celebrate these innovative projects to help us reduce greenhouse gas emissions and to build a healthier, cleaner province and, of course, our country, Canada, and our bigger country called planet Earth. We know that climate change is one of the most important issues the world faces right now, not only in our jurisdiction, in almost every part of the world. Every week across the globe, we are seeing its impact on the environment, on infrastructure, on economics, and of course, on people's lives. Last month, 15,000 scientists from 184 countries, they came out and issued a warning to humanity that we must act now on global warming before it is too late. Our government is committed to fighting climate change by reducing greenhouse gas pollution and transitioning Ontario to a low-carbon economy. And that's why we were the first province to commit to cutting greenhouse gas emissions by 37% below the 1990 limits by the year 2030, which will be 13 years from now. and we have created the Climate Change Action Plan to help us meet that goal. Since the year 2013, this is the year when this government came to the office, our government has committed more than $225 million to clean tech research and commercialization in the province of Ontario. And Ontario has the fastest growing clean tech sector in the whole country. Last year, we launched the TargetGHG program. It supports the development of breakthrough technologies in order to lower emissions in large industrial plants, and in the process, create jobs and help us build a low-carbon economy. So today, it is my pleasure to announce the first recipients of TargetGHG funding. These projects are unique collaboration between innovative clean tech companies and the large industries or universities who tackle emissions in many, many ways. These projects being funded included a fast charging station for electric vehicles, a battery-powered electric mine, a new way to capture solar energy, and the process to make cement stronger and, of course, greener. And two projects that will take place right here at Walker Environment. In one, landfill gas will be taken to the General Motors plant in St. Catharines and will be used to generate electricity and space heating, making that plant one of the company's lowest emission facilities in the world. Walker Environmental is also collaborating with Stelco to reduce the carbon footprint of steel production by replacing coal with biocarbon in the making of coke. Congratulations to all of the successful applicants on these groundbreaking projects, which are going to make enormous impact on the environment and our daily lives in years to come. And also, it's going to be taken notice in the world. I'm just looking at Stelco plant and the GM plant. People are around the world, and other plants within your own global operation, they're going to look at St. Catharines and see what they have done. Maybe we should copy them, and I'm sure they will copy you. So don't sell your know-how cheap. Together, we are making a real difference in the fight against climate change and helping to create a more sustainable planet. Thank you very much. All the best. Merci beaucoup.
Thank you very much, Minister Moridi. And just continuing on that theme, here at Walker Environmental, we are committed to supporting the transition to a circular economy. Over the past 5 years alone, Walker has invested over $70 million in resource recovery businesses and at the same time employing over 200 people in green jobs. We currently recover over 400,000 tonnes of organic resources every year to produce high-quality end products such as compost, mulches and fertilizers. For materials that aren't able to be recycled or recovered, we also provide reliable and safe waste disposal here at our landfill. As part of this announcement and funding, I'd like to tell you a little bit more detail about the two projects. Integrated Gas Recovery Systems, or IGRS for short, is a partnership company between Walker Environmental and Comcor Environmental located in Cambridge. Together we'll be working with GM, using the landfill gas, as the Minister said, at our disposal facility, from the disposal facility here, processing it and transporting it down a dedicated pipeline to the GM plant in St. Catharines just below the hill. Landfill gas, which is a renewable fuel, will be used to generate 6.4 megawatts of electricity, and the heat from that would be used for space heating. And I think, as you said, making the plant one of GM's greenest facilities globally. At Stelco in Hamilton, they recently began using our biocarbon produced here at Walker from recovered resources in their steel mill's coke oven. Biocarbon has been used instead of coal, about 3% of the use there, in the coking process, and in turn providing significant reduction in greenhouse gas emissions in that process. These two projects, I think, for us, are shining examples of how industry across Canada is collaborating to reduce waste, create sustainable products, decrease greenhouse gas emissions, and all the while investing in creating jobs of the future, the green jobs here in Ontario. So we look forward to continuing to work with GM and Stelco on these innovative projects and to continue to reduce greenhouse gas emissions while helping Ontario meet its reduction targets. So given that, that's all I'm going to say about the projects, but I'd like to welcome Minister Bradley back to introduce our Minister of Environment.
Again, thank you for giving me the opportunity to introduce one of my colleagues. I should say to my colleagues in a very parochial sense, since all politics is local, that I drove here today in my Chev Impala, assembled in Oshawa with the engine made in St. Catharines. Had nothing to do with it. And General Motors is well represented here today, along with Walker's. By the way, those of you who may be out of town and just may not be aware of this part of the Walker heritage in our part of the province of Ontario, there's not a company that I can think of that has been more benevolent, more community-minded. If you look all around the Niagara Peninsula and probably beyond our borders as well, you'll see the Walker name on many buildings and the contribution they've made to our community, not only as a business, which is exceedingly important, but in terms of the generous donations they've made over the years, and their representatives of the company, including the Walker family itself, have been involved in so many beneficial organizations over the years. So I did want to take that opportunity to thank Walker on that particular note. My responsibility is to introduce Chris Ballard. He said you must be even briefer than you were when you introduced Reza Moridi. So I just want to tell you that, first of all, he is the Minister of Environment and Climate Change, as it's referred to now. And previous to that, he was the Minister of Housing and Minister responsible for Poverty Reduction Strategy in the Cabinet. He was a parliamentary assistant before that. He was involved in municipal politics, which is a good grounding for all of us. He was also began as a journalist. Believe it or not, we'll forgive him for that. And actually was deeply involved in that. Public Affairs, President of the Public Affairs Association of Canada, honorary lifetime member for his work there. He was also involved with the Consumers Association of Canada and been involved in a number of issues that he doesn't want me to go into detail on at the present time. He also taught part-time at a community college and was involved in many organizations which are very beneficial. But once again, the Premier chose very well when she chose Chris Ballard. He representing a riding north of Toronto, as both of them do. He recognized he sees a growing area of the province there because of the development taking place, and recognizes as in his special responsibility the importance of growth taking place in the context of our environment and of protecting the environment. So I'm delighted to introduce to you Chris Ballard, Minister of Environment and Climate Change of Ontario.
Well, good morning, and thanks, Jim. I was just always in awe of your record of service. When I'm in the boardroom at the Ministry of Environment, not once but twice do I look at your pictures, because you served, of course, as minister twice. So you're right at eye level. So every decision that comes before me, it's always prefaced with, what would Jim do here? I'd also like to say that I think I was only 1 or 2 when you were first elected. Okay, so first lie of the day, maybe 3. So good morning, everyone. And I'm really delighted to follow Minister Moridi, another person who I have great admiration for. And Jim is right. Anytime there is a science question that someone poses in caucus, it's funny, all the heads turn this way, and Reza says, well, I don't know everything about all the areas, but you're the only guy with a PhD in science in our caucus, so we turn to you. I want to congratulate the recipients of the TargetGHG program. Thank you for putting your creative energies into building a better, more sustainable future in our province and planet. And thank you to Walker Environmental for hosting us and for taking us on that really interesting and excellent tour it's great to see Ontario innovation in action. So in just a few minutes, I'll tell you about the new Green Ontario Fund program to help industries continue our fight against climate change. You know, Ontario residents are anxious about the threat of climate change. They're concerned about the impact on our economy at a time when we're facing many challenges from the implementation of new technologies and from global competition. I won't use my time to tell you about what's coming, about the massive changes to our ecosystem, our food system, our economy, our very way of life. We do know that right now, climate change is bringing Ontario an increase in flooding, more intense storms, shorter winter road seasons, and an increase in certain diseases. We all see the news and horrific devastation from the out-of-control wildfires in California. In my opinion, climate change is the greatest threat to business security and global prosperity. Our residents see these changes and they are looking to their elected officials and business leaders to confront the challenge and harness the opportunity. Ontario is a leader in the fight against climate change, and I can tell you that as I get to travel around the world and go to different conferences. We have many, many requests for meetings from other countries and businesses to try and figure out how we've done what we've done in Ontario. We're building on a record of strong, decisive action, beginning with our ban on coal, which was one of the largest ever greenhouse gas reduction initiatives in North American history. It was the equivalent of taking 7 million vehicles off our roads, and it's helped virtually eliminate smog days in Ontario. And the experts tell us that action has saved lives. Today, we can also say that Ontario's electricity system is 90% free of greenhouse gas emissions. So building on this leadership, we introduced a cap on the greenhouse gas pollution businesses can emit and launched a carbon market. With our carbon market, if an industry exceeds their cap on pollution, they must buy allowances at auction or from other companies that have come in under the limit. Working together with our Climate Change Action Plan, our Made in Ontario approach is driving our province toward our pollution reduction targets. Our action plan calls on all sectors to reduce their greenhouse gas pollution. With the action plan's 90-plus measures, we're moving Ontario towards a low-carbon economy, reducing our dependency on imported fossil fuels, and creating good, clean, local jobs as a result. And here's your proof. Without these carbon market investments, we wouldn't have a resource recovery company teaming up with the steel and auto firms to create jobs and drive modernization. So this is not only a carbon innovation, but it's also a great example of a circular economy where we're minimizing the use of raw materials, maximizing the useful life of materials through resource recovery, and minimizing waste generated at the end of life products. So normally, it's not my nature to get partisan, and I'll attempt not to, but I am concerned about recent pronouncements by members of a certain other party who want to do away with our cap-and-trade system and move straight to a tax. And I will tell you that I'm worried about that because if that were to happen, future announcements like this would not be happening. The other side is proposing a scheme that would give control to the federal government. It would hand our policy sovereignty to another government, and it would cost business more, and it would not get Ontario to where we need to get with regards to carbon reduction. And that's all I'll say on that. I will say there is a reason why soon 60% of the world will be covered by a carbon price, and 90% of those markets will be carbon markets. Carbon taxes, frankly, from my own reading, my own research, talking to people from around the world are more expensive for families and businesses, and unlike a cap on pollution, they really don't guarantee pollution reduction. So what we've tried to do is put something forward that was affordable for business, affordable for families, and created jobs and sustainability while implementing the low-carbon economy. So with yesterday's announcement of the recent auction, we've held 4 carbon market auctions to date. We've generated a little more than $1.9 billion. And I will say that by law, every single penny from those auctions must be invested in green projects that reduce or eliminate the production of greenhouse gas pollution. So these investments, besides reducing pollution, are also modernizing our hospitals, they're improving social housing, they're upgrading our schools and homes, they're making bike lanes and electric vehicles a more common sight, they're supporting Indigenous communities and bringing our businesses to the forefront of the next industrial revolution, a low-carbon revolution. So this won't happen through a tax on everything. This won't happen if these investments are taken away. One of our signature investments that is key to building our prosperous low-carbon future is the Green Ontario Fund. The fund is a one-stop shop to help homeowners and businesses fight climate change and remove barriers to adopting low-carbon technology. The Green Ontario Fund will be there to help homeowners and businesses save money by reducing their carbon footprints. The Green Ontario Fund will be there for our business community and industrial leaders to help them adopt low-carbon technologies. And that's why we're here today. We know that industry generates about 1/3 of all greenhouse gas pollution in Ontario. So we need to reduce industrial pollution. That's a given. But it's also a given that we must balance reductions with economic competitiveness. Without that balance, it is not sustainable. So the new GreenON Industries program will help partner Ontario's growing clean tech companies with our large emitting firms. It will help critical, commercially available technologies gain a foothold in Ontario. It will drive industry improvements, creating new jobs and securing existing jobs in newly modernized plants. It will help industry reduce and even eventually utilize their waste carbon, turning a damaging pollutant into a valuable resource. The Climate Change Action Plan and programs like GreenON Industry fully supports a competitive, low-carbon economy. It's an economy where companies benefit from improved productivity, more business certainty, and a stable climate for investment. We said in our action plan that our government will be there to help businesses increase their use of low-carbon technologies. And so, first the TargetGHG, and now GreenON Industries, we are doing just that. We will support GreenON Industries in 2017-18 with an investment of $200 million. GreenON Industries will help Ontario meet our targets for greenhouse gas reductions, both in the near and long term. So, in conclusion, Ontario is committed to supporting our industrial leaders' transition to a low-carbon economy. Our Climate Change Action Plan and Carbon Market are working together to help do just that. Parminder Sandhu, the chair of the Green Ontario Fund, is also with us today, and he's going to tell us more about the new program and the great work being done through the Green Ontario Fund. So, finally, again, thank you to Walker Industries for providing this space, for hosting a fantastic tour. Thank you, everyone here today, the businesses here today, and everyone who's making this possible, and have a great rest of the day. Thank you.
Well, my thanks to Minister Ballard and Minister Moridi and MPP Bradley, who've joined us here today. But before I start on my remarks here, I want to piggyback off of a comment from Minister Ballard. And to me, what was special about being here today was this is making it real. This is about a symbiotic industrial ecosystem that's developing here, and that's special. So I'd like to recognize our friends at GM and with Walker as well as Stelco. I really appreciate that symbiotic relationship that's developing here. So. Walker's thriving operation here reminds us that renewable energy technologies are not just good for the planet, but they are good for business. The world is rapidly transitioning to a low-carbon economy, and Ontario's industries are searching for new ways to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. Today, we launch a special and new response to that widespread demand, GreenON Industries. This program will invest up to $200 million in helping Ontario businesses modernize their facilities so we can become more energy efficient and globally competitive. GreenON Industries is the newest initiative of the Green Ontario Fund, or GreenON. We are a nonprofit agency launched this summer as part of Ontario's Climate Change Action Plan, with a mandate to help reduce greenhouse gas emissions through the funds from Ontario's carbon markets. GreenON Industries is a made-in-Ontario solution that builds on the success of TargetGHG, an early action program created by the Ontario Green Investment Fund. The program has two streams. The first is a technology deployment, which provides up to $5 million in matching funds for eligible projects. The second stream is a large-scale technology deployment and facility modernization, which provides up to $20 million in matching funds for eligible projects. GreenON Industries will accelerate the adoption of technology innovations by large emitters. This will help Ontario industry grow and thrive, creating high-quality jobs and help Ontario meet its greenhouse gas emission targets. By deploying leading-edge technologies at industrial facilities, the program will build on the capacity and expertise of Ontario-based clean energy technology companies and shorten the payback period for implementing these projects. And as businesses are required to provide at least matching funding to the Green Ontario Fund, the GreenON Industries will encourage investment in Ontario. In short, GreenON Industries will put the proceeds from the carbon market back to work for the people of Ontario. I'd like to congratulate all the successful program participants from TargetGHG, including our hosts at Walker Environmental. We look forward to working with you as we move forward. I can assure you that your experience with the program will not change. GreenON will not mess with success. The program will continue to be managed and promoted on our behalf by partners at Ontario Centres of Excellence. They've done a stellar job, and I'd like to recognize Tom, Claudia's here, Martin's here, Yvette's here. Great job. Our aim is to create a seamless transition from TargetGHG to the GreenON Industries program and to create a user experience that is free of unnecessary bureaucracy and red tape, so we can maximize the participation by Ontario businesses and the impact of our funding dollars. GreenON's vision is a thriving Ontario where residents and businesses are empowered to make low-carbon decisions, resulting in environmental, economic, and social sustainability for present and future generations. The launch of GreenON Industries is an important part of that journey, and we're excited to take our first steps here today. Our website is live, www.greenon.ca, and we're open for business, and we look forward to working with all industries in Ontario. Thank you.
Thanks, Parminder. I really appreciate that. And I just want to echo your thoughts. Our whole experience with OCE through this process, both at Stelco and GM, was absolutely excellent and not what we normally expect sometimes from government in terms of speed. But this one went really well, so we thank you for that. So I'm probably just going to open it up to questions. But before I do that, I just want to thank all the staff at OCE and at Walker Industries. This is our head office. There's staff on either side of me here. And there's not a hell of a lot of work going on here this morning, so maybe we could perhaps get back to normal. But I just want to thank all the staff that are involved. There's a lot of equipment out there, and it does usually look pretty clean, but there's a lot of effort involved in getting all that stuff looking the way it does today. So I just want to thank all the staff that were involved in that. So there is an opportunity for anybody that didn't go on the tour. We have some willing tour guides. The bus is still here, I think. And we're happy to take MD up to the resource recovery area or to the landfill gas plant and have a look. But I'm just wondering if there are any questions that you'd like to pose to any of the speakers. Or we're anticipating some more press here, so maybe usually get questions from them. So this is great. So anyway, thank you for coming, and have a great rest of your day and weekend. Thank you.